Coming up on today's episode.
Make sure everything's set up ready from the start.
Yep.
Not only just for the landlord, but for the tenant as well. Because it's super important for the tenant to be protected just in case they need to vacate in the future.
Right. So that's like landlord insurance, things like that.
Landlord insurance, make sure they've got all that sorted. Not because some of them only get insurance for the property.
Yeah, well, like not the contents
insurance.
And not landlords.
Yeah, and they don't know which insurance to go with. I can't obviously tell them which to go with, but I can send them a few options of where to go with. I need to make sure they're set up with that, make sure they know everything about being a landlord, because a lot of them don't, and they're not told.
Dodgy advice and bad decisions can cost you big in real estate. We're here to make sure that that doesn't happen. Welcome to the No BS Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Jo Agresta, and it's time to take control of your property journey together. Welcome back, everyone, to the No BS Real Estate Podcast, your listening how-to guide to the Australian finance and property market. I'm your host, Jo Agresta, and I'm really keen on today's episode because I like the way me and Katie actually met. It was through TikTok, and I was watching her content and I loved the rawness, the realness, and how straight up she is. And if you don't know her handle, it's Invest with Katie. Excellent content. Needed to get her on the show, inboxed away, and here we are. So what I want to start by saying is if you're a landlord or you're a property investor, like first time or well-established, and you've been looking for someone who really gets it, someone who won't just help you buy an investment, but will manage it, protect it, and actually tell you the truth. That's our next guest, and that's exactly who you want in your corner. Katie Newlan Ross from Property Plus Real Estate is known for her off-market deals, her boots-on-the-ground experience, and her no-nonsense approach to managing property. So she's not just selling homes, which is so unique, right? She's selling homes, she's advocating for investors, supporting landlords, and calling out the fluff in the process. So Katie, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Jo. What a big intro.
I had to.
Wow. That makes me sound so special. Thank you.
Of course. No, I have to give you credit because, like I said, when it all started, I was looking at content and me and Karina, our marketing manager, she goes, have you seen this Invest with Katie? She started following us. And I'm like, let's have a look. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And you're so unique. Like you are literally the trifecta. Like I've never met an agent that actually can help you sell, purchase, manage the property all in one. Let's start from the beginning. How did you first get into real estate and what drew you to this side of the industry?
This is really special for me actually. So when I was little, I'm really close to my nan and pop. So for a long time, they've been flipping properties. They're quite old now. They're in their 90s. So I remember when I was younger, they had this real estate agent. He's no longer with us, so rest in peace. Yeah. But he would come around to the family home and he would be in this really, really nice suit. He'd be so just full of energy and so happy all the time. And he would always say to me, come and look at this property with your nan and pop. And I would go around with him and he'd be so kind to me. And then after that time, my parents then started investing in property and they had a little unit. And back then that was the time when landlords would be able to fix properties and, do little things like fix taps and this and that. And I would go along with them. So that's where it all started. And to not long ago, actually, he kept in touch with me and he would email me and say, hey, Katie, I seen that you went into real estate. How's it going? So that's actually the little story how I went into real estate. Yeah.
And he actually followed up with you after all those years.
He did, and he remembered me from when I was 5.
Oh my God. How full circle's that?
I know. So it's quite a special little story, actually.
I really like that because it is very personal. It's different. Not just I always loved houses, so I went into property. It's very different. And you got to actually see an example, I guess, of an agent building really good rapport. And that probably inspired you to go, I think that's what I want to do.
It did, yeah. And it was super special to me because I know that he was trusted and he was doing the right thing. So I think I learned from him a little bit as well. So yeah.
That's awesome.
It was special.
You've got such a unique role. I think I mentioned this at the start that blends management, sales and advocacy. Was that always the plan or did it evolve over time?
I think it actually evolved over time. So from the beginning, back when I started in property management, there was a lot of times that I would see things that weren't right. So I would see my owners selling their property. I would see agents come in to help them selling the property. And I thought to myself, you know what, something doesn't quite feel right. So I think in the previous 6 months, I've seen a lot of off-market deals happening in Bendigo.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, these investors are coming in being guided by people or not guided by anyone at all. And they're trying to purchase these homes, but are they asking the right questions? Do they know what they're purchasing? Are they getting the right deal? Do they know if these properties are up to scratch? Who's helping them? Do they know what they're doing? Do they know what they're purchasing? So I thought, how about when my current database is wanting to sell their investment, I could then help the investors that are asking me to purchase those ones because they're already set up and ready to go.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I went to my director and I said, listen, my current role now is to lead the property management team. How about we broaden that out? And it was actually his idea. And we sat down and we made this role. And it wasn't really something that was like a BDM role.
Yeah.
It was a little bit more special.
It's like, because that's why it struck me as unique. Yeah. It's not a BDM role where you're just managing like new people, like
that's right,
new businesses or new people coming in, but you're actually servicing. And that's what's so unique about it. Like I can't imagine having being a landlord and then coming to you and having this all-in-one service with someone I've already built rapport and trust.
Correct.
Because that's what often happens, right, is you build rapport with your property manager who's helping you manage the asset. But then you don't get to deal with them after that.
That's right.
You know, it's kind of like, well, I'm selling the house, so thanks for your time. Hopefully I'll find something and we'll come back to you. But in your case, you're like, hang on a minute, I can help.
That's right. And I know their property.
Yeah.
So I know what has happened in the past. I know what their rent is like. I know the ledger. I've done the condition report.
Yeah.
I've managed it. My team and I have seen the routine inspections. We've grown with the renter. We've grown with the landlord. And I can then pass on that little package to the next investor.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, and it's so, I just love it. And I think, you know, going around like this no fluff allowed approach that you have, right, which I love. People describe you as someone who tells it like it is. You know, where does that approach come from and how has it shaped the way you work with clients?
I think that it's come from what I've seen. So if we're presenting a property to a client, are we going to do a walkthrough that is just to sell them the property? Or are we going to tell them everything? Are we going to say, hey, look, I've actually noticed some mold here and I've noticed a wet skirting board, or are we just going to skip past that? Because then when that client then comes back to me as a rental provider, a landlord, I'm going to then take that on.
Yeah, of course.
And isn't that fair? They're spending their hard-earned, it could be in their super fund, or it could be money that they've pulled out from refinancing their family home. So that's not fair. You can't do that. You can't be going around telling people, hey, buy this off market. This is perfect for renting. That is their hard-earned money. It's not your money to spend or to be not fair on. So you need to tell them the truth. You need to tell them if that renter's behind on their rent. You need to tell them if the gutters are full. You need to tell them everything about that property so they have that information in front of them.
Then they can make an informed decision. Correct. You know, and it's so refreshing to hear that, you know, honestly, even for myself, I've dealt with property managers in the past that haven't been that good. I've dealt with a lot of sales agents, a lot of buyers agents that I've also not rated very well. That's and I'm like, this element of, and it happens to a lot of everyday home buyers at the moment, and even sellers, like new time sellers who are getting rid of their first investments, things like that. They're not informed about what they're actually purchasing and all the problems with it. They wait for a building and pest, and then what ends up happening is the building and pest has all these minor structural defects, but you can't break contract for that. So you're kind of just committed to this sale. So I really love that. It's so different to have an agent like yourself who just straight up says, listen, mold on the wall, skirting board's wet. That's an issue. That's going to be a problem. If you buy it, here's what you can do to salvage it. Here's what I'll do to manage it. But here's how I'm also going to look after your tenants once they're in.
That's right.
Like that's, I love it personally.
It's important.
So important. And do you think more agents should stay on the tools? Because I think a lot of the time what happens is as agents, like we do the profession for a long time, and a lot of the time it's like 10 years, 15 years, and we slowly get off the tools. We sit back and become management roles and, you know, we're more hands off. But with your approach, like especially in property management, do you think more agents should actually stay on the tools?
I think that's a very good question. I think it's going to be different with which role you're stepping into. So I think that if you're a BDM going out there and looking for off-market sales, or if you're looking to bring on more clients to your property management department, I think that you do need to have different skill set. For me, being a property management department manager, I'm still a property manager. I still manage those properties. So I still know the legislation. I still go to BCAT. Wow. I still manage rental arrears every day. I still manage my team. So when I'm going out to source that property for you, I still know what needs to be used to bring up to minimum standards. I still know what a renter needs and wants.
That's so good.
When you're a BDM, have you been a sales agent and now you're stepping down into a BDM role?
Yeah.
Or have you been on the tools? And are you still on the tools? Do you still know what the legislation is? Or are you just saying, I've been told that this is up to minimum standards?
Yep.
Or I think this needs to come to be minimum standards. I think it's super important that you still need to be in that role.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. I think it is super important to be up to date because you do run into a lot of professionals who aren't on the tools, who don't know. They have no idea. And then, it all gets lost.
Yeah.
Switching gears a little bit, like we've touched on the off-market deals, and I want to break this out, flesh this out a bit, because you specialise in off-market sales. Now, for people who aren't familiar with what that actually means, why do investors love them?
That's a really good question. So there's a lot of hype around this off-market sale. What's the difference though?
Yeah, that's right.
So is there a difference between you sourcing an off-market sale or something that's just as good on market for a rental property? But the difference, I guess, is that some of these off-market ones that I would bring to my client would be that it's already on my rental roll.
See, that's different. Yeah.
My off-market ones are usually ones that are already on my rent roll, or I know that an investor has had it. So that's where I'm different to, I guess you could say, a sales agent.
So I'm going to open that up a bit because I love this, right? Typical off-market, it's usually you're sourcing them like as a buyer's advocate by trade, right?
Yeah.
I would go to a real estate agent and go, what have you got coming to market? Do you have something that's available that's not yet on that I can sell? And I would get my listings that way. Or I'd go to a developer, or I'd go to anyone who's basically got some sort of property that's not far off from being, a completion. And then I'd try and sell it to my network. But in this case, and what I find unique because of your already, no bullshit kind of approach, you've then got access to these off markets in a way that you've already managed them. You know when the rental's going to run out, when the tenants are going to be out of there, you know exactly what to tell a potential purchaser on what to expect. And a lot of the time with these off markets, do you sell them to investors or are they like your first home buyers?
No. So that's where I'm different. I only sell to investors and for investors.
So then you're able then, right, like if I'm getting this right, the renters that are in those off markets at the time, if they're happy to stay on, you're basically just transferring ownership of the property.
So I'm making sure that my renters are safe as well.
That's awesome. Because it's a win-win.
It is a win-win. So my renters are still super important to me as well. I have a really good relationship with my renters as well. So I make sure that they're safe as well. I also have a massive database of pre-approved renters. So we also rent off market as well. So a lot of the times with these off-market sales, I've got a renter ready to go.
Far out. So this is, I think, not a lot of people I've heard do stuff like this, to be honest, in market. I'm sure they do or in different capacity to yourself, but I haven't really heard of what you do and the way you've explained it because there's a rental crisis. We all know it's dire.
Yeah.
You're out in that Bendigo region. So are you seeing something different in that market to like what everyone's complaining about in the CBD markets?
So a lot of the time when renters come and say we can't get a property, I'm baffled.
Right.
Yeah. So if you're filling out your application properly and everything looks fine, you've paid your rent on time and you've done the right thing, I'm not sure where the issue is.
Really?
Yeah, we have a massive database of pre-approved renters. So when I get something that's off market, I've sold to an investor, I've already got someone in mind ready to go. Like we are ready to roll. Most of the time we're not even advertising it because it's ready to go. So we literally are the full package. We're ready to go. And when you see me advertising, I guess on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, looking for more properties to sell off market, it's because I have nothing left. Because I'm looking for more properties to put to my investors.
And then on top of that, you're actually helping the rental crisis in a sense, or the people that feel like they can't get into a rental.
Yeah.
They're going to have the opportunity to get into one because you've got all these this pre-approved list.
That's right.
That's awesome. I really love that because it's so different. It's so refreshing. And I think one of the follow-up questions to this is, what are some signs that an off-market deal is a great opportunity? And how do you know when to steer clear? Because some off-markets I've seen are atrocious. Like, I won't even touch them for a buyer. I'm like, that's riddled with shit.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that buyers advocates and myself probably have different lists that they're looking for.
Yep.
So I don't try and dive into that too much. I can only dive into what would be good for a rental property. So when you're looking for a rental property, I just go in and check for, I guess, whoever comes to me. So whether it be an investor or a buyer's advocate, I will check what it would need, obviously, for the rental minimum standards, check what is in there, with the heating and cooling, check fences, gutters, and all these kind of things to make sure that that would make a good investment for a rental property. Yeah.
I think that's awesome because you said it right. We do look at different things. And I think where you're so unique, as I keep saying, and I keep ramming it home, Katie, for a reason, okay, because it is different what you do. I've never really met someone who is like managing end to end. It's always getting other professionals involved in the, in the circuit. And I think, steering clear of those bad properties, you have a look at a different opportunity. You're looking at it from a rental perspective. Is it going to be manageable? Like, can we manage it? Issues? What can we do? I think that's fantastic.
Or how long will it take to come up to that standard?
Yeah,
and how much will it take? We also work with local tradies as well.
So you actually pull in the tradies to give like a full picture. Yeah. In some cases,
if we need to.
That's amazing.
So say if the client has a $600,000 budget, and the property is going to go for maybe $450,000, for example, and it still would be okay to be rented, how much is it going to cost? Will it need a paint? Will it need carpet? Then we go ahead and get those quotes, and then we can see, will that fit into that budget?
That's unbelievable as a full kit service. It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah. It really is a lot of hard work, but in the end, it works out.
Well, I can imagine, because how long have you been doing this now?
Since I came out of school, so I was 18.
Wow, so it's actually been consistent for you since 18.
Yeah, and I'm only 24 now.
Oh, my God. You look 24. I was like, come on, we've got to be the same age. 33 this year.
Yeah, so a long time.
I feel
long time in real estate.
I feel like that's great, though, because it's funny. I started real estate straight out of school, and it was the same thing. And I feel like it's one of those industries that once you get into property, especially at a young age, like straight out of school, can't leave it. It's like it stays with you. It haunts you. You can try to leave, but
I know. Well, I wouldn't even know what else to do.
Yeah, it's so true.
What would I do?
Yeah,
I don't know. And it seems so cliche, and people probably roll their eyes at me and think you're being silly now. But it literally is my life.
Yeah,
it's just my life.
Real estate's a lifestyle. I feel, and I think where it's so unique, like with professionals like yourself, you really find a passion for it, it does become your world. Like it revolves, like you need an understanding partner. Like family has to get that your hours are not 9 to 5 knock off.
I think so. My kids actually now come around on weekends when I go check out properties for investors.
That's so good.
And they're like, hey, mum, is that meant to be there? Have you seen that? And I'm like, stop yelling out my tips to everyone else looking. They're coming to see what you're saying. Shush it.
I love it. You've trained them really well.
Yeah.
Oh, they're going to be ace. And then you'll have your own little business.
I know, right? Yeah.
No, good on you. So you've got some strong views on what good property management looks like. What are some of the things that you do differently to protect your landlords and tenants?
Make sure everything's set up ready from the start.
Yeah.
Not only just for the landlord, but for the tenant as well. Because it's super important for the tenant to be protected just in case they need to vacate in the future.
Right. So that's like landlord insurance, things like that.
Landlord insurance, make sure they've got all that sorted. Not because some of them only get insurance for the property.
Yeah, well, like not the contents insurance. And not landlords.
Yeah, and they don't know which insurance to go with. I can't obviously tell them which to go with, but I can send them a few options of where to go with. I need to make sure they're set up with that, make sure they know everything about being a landlord, because a lot of them don't, and they're not told.
It's so true because, you don't have like a rule book when you buy an investment. It's like you wing it and then you find out when things go wrong.
That's right.
Generally when you're like, crap, I should have had insurance.
Yeah. And then we need to set up the renter as well, or the tenant, because if they're not set up, then they're both not protected.
Wow.
So it's a lot of, I guess, from the start, the groundwork, because we need to let the tenant know or the renter know what the expectations are around rental payments. So, what the expectation is and what's going to happen when we come for the first inspection and so forth. So then it's all a smooth process and we're all rolling on the same page.
Yeah, and it's like everyone's all aligned.
Right.
And
neat little package.
Yeah.
Make sure that everything's set up. A lot of owners don't know the new legislation as well, because who's there to tell them?
It's true, you don't know.
So it's super important to make sure that everyone's on the same page, everyone knows legislation, and everyone also knows how we work as a property management team.
And I think that's super important because a lot of the time, like some of the horror stories you hear about property managers, like people complain about property managers all the time when they're a tenant.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine with the level of care and dedication that you have, and a couple of other property managers that I know as well would have that a lot of the time. I think there's because you would obviously have things like house maintenance and like issues with things like that. How do you kind of manage that process or those expectations with those tenants?
So it's more so with the tenants. If we go to the first inspection or an inspection and they haven't reported something to us, we need to make sure that it's okay. You don't need to be scared. You're not going to get kicked out. You need to make sure you come to us with that.
Right, before it gets worse.
That's right. And then on the other side as well, if we have owners that aren't doing the right thing and they're not allowing us to get maintenance or they're not taking care of the renter, We don't want you on our books. Yeah, we don't. My boss, Nathan, he's very good. Yep. He supports our team, and he says if that's the owner that you've got and that's not setting the expectations that we have for us as Property Plus, then we don't want them.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time you're the middleman between making things happen with the renter and keeping the owner happy or the landlord happy. If you haven't got a cooperative landlord or you haven't got a cooperative tenant, it becomes a mess.
Yeah. We can protect your asset, but if you're not helping protect it and you're not doing what we need you to do, then we can't help you, because we like to keep everything neat and tidy, and we need to be who we are. Yeah. And if you're letting down the team, you're not a team player, we can't help you.
Yeah, spot on. And I think, you know, going into that, like, how involved do you think a landlord ideally should be? Like, how involved should they be in their investment? And when is it best for, like, them to step back and let, you know, the property manager like yourself do the job?
We let them be as involved as they want to be.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, super involved. If they want to come to every inspection, they can. That's fine.
Oh, right.
If they want to be hands off, they can. Yep. We still just let them know everything that's going on.
Gotcha. So it's like you kind of take them under your wing. It's like, you want to come along. That's fine. If you don't,
asset.
Up to you.
Correct.
So that's a great thing, because I think sometimes, like, we always hear different stories in market of, like, property managers either blocking the owner from. Wow. I had one article I read, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. Landlord had the property managed by property manager, and she was protecting the tenants from an issue with the property, and she wasn't relaying it to the landlord because it was part of an inspection that she had done. She needed to get it corrected. It was a mistake that she had made when going through the property. So she was inspecting one of the walls that had a hole in it made by the tenant. Tenant showed her. She went to pull it away and she made an even bigger hole. So then the tenant said, well, you've made it worse. It's your fault. So she went quiet, and then it all came out. Because this landlord basically cracked it and said, what the F is going on?
Yeah.
Why are we in this position? So
not cool.
No,
in that
not
case,
cool.
We do have, my boss has a kitty that if we lose the key, always losing keys, we just replace them. We pay for them. If you've made a mistake or if you've forgotten to tell an owner something and that's on you, we just pay for it. You have made the mistake. You need to fix it. Yeah,
you need to have your own onus on it.
Yeah.
I love that. And, you know, regional insights and trends, because like I said before, you're working across the Bendigo region.
Yeah.
What's happening in those markets right now that investors might not realize?
Yeah. So everyone is being drawn right now to Bendigo.
Yeah.
And I think that it's massive right now. So every day I'm getting so many calls. My phone just goes flat. Yeah, it literally goes flat. I need to charge it 2 or 3 times a day. Everyone's saying, we want Bendigo, we want this, we want that. And I think that there's 2 different ways you can go.
Yep.
Obviously, and you being a buyer's advocate or agent, you can set and forget.
Yep.
Or you can buy one that's going to have growth.
Correct.
So that's where it's the 2 trends that are going on right now.
Yeah.
So I'm having 2 different types of people call me. Do you have one with this large block of land, which is an older property in this price bracket, or do you have something that's under this size and ready to go, already rented? So it's just massive right now. Bendigo's on fire.
Geez, that would be great for you though. Like you know, to get all this interest, especially because everyone is exploring regional towns. Like
they are.
I think when we were in COVID, there was a lot of the regional talk. Everyone moved regional, and then we came out of COVID, and then everyone was like, "Oh shit, now I want to move back to CBD." And what I'm seeing as a trend, like just from the discussions, like even with yourself, regional's becoming hot again. People are moving further out. They're getting different jobs, or they're working remotely because they're sick of it. They've come back from COVID and gone, give me another lockdown.
Literally.
And put me in regional.
We can all work from home now, right?
Correct.
Everything's remote. Everything's on your phone, laptop, whatever.
Yep. Yeah. Spot on. So I'm glad that you're seeing that kind of trend in your area. So you must be flat out now.
So flat out. I think that the only thing that's probably stopping our growth or my growth is people not really realizing the value in what I do and what I can do. So most of those off-market deals or investors are going to the bigger companies because they can't see what we do.
Wow. Yeah. No, I think this episode definitely highlights the good that you're doing in the community, like in the broader space. And like I said, your content on TikTok just really speaks to me, to be honest.
My boss has told me to stop twerking.
No.
As a joke. So every day he does get a little bit of a troll and it's work. Yeah, he tells me to get out.
I love it. So he tells you to get out like you've had enough.
Get out. I've had enough. Stop twerking.
No,
yeah, I think
devastated.
He will soon.
I think he will. I think you can get him on board.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get him on the show, get him to just twerk in the background of the video.
So.
Yeah, okay, let's sort that out. Thanks, Nathan. Can't wait to have you. So I guess my next question would be, if someone came to you with $600,000 to invest, what would you tell them to buy and where?
So in Bendigo, anywhere would be good, I think, to purchase. There are certain pockets to stay away from. I would tell them with that amount, something that would be set and forget. That is a very good amount to purchase with.
Well, it's decent. And are you getting a lot of first-time investors, or is it mainly established
a lot
investors?
Of first time.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of first time, which is good.
I think that's great because you would be a great first person to purchase with and then go through the journey. You would be. So. Oh, you would be smashing expectations out of the park because for me, I'm like, I need to find investment in Bendigo. I need to talk to Katie about it, and then I need her to manage it because I've seen and been through some horror shows with agents before, and I love it. So 600,000, you reckon Bendigo will get you something for sure?
100%, and it wouldn't even need to be off market, honestly.
Really?
And it's a really good price if something's already established and ready to go with a really good yield.
So that's awesome. Yeah. Okay, that's positive. Like for those listening out there who are thinking about breaking into the rental market for the first time and wanting to actually buy their investment, definitely get in touch with Katie because I think Bendigo's a growing space at the moment, or regional in general. And, for landlords or investors who haven't worked with someone like you before, what do they usually get wrong or underestimate?
What do they get wrong or underestimate? I think they get wrong not being prepared. They definitely get wrong not being prepared. So they need to be ready to go. They need to know what their budget is. They need to know what they're looking for. They need to be really clear on their instructions on what they have ready to go.
Yeah, so that's like their
expectations, So what are they looking for? What is it that they want in that property? What their budget is? Those are the things they get wrong.
I think there's a lot of stuff that you would probably go through, like having those discussions of what's your purpose of purchasing?
Correct. Yeah. What they're purchasing with. Is it their super fund? Is it their own personal money? Because when you're purchasing with those different things, you need to know what you're, looking for. Because within those funds, there's only certain things you can do. With your personal money, there's more things you can do. So when you're coming to me, you need to know, what you want.
Yep.
Then you need to know. Then we can all know, where you're going to go.
Yeah, it's like you can map it out properly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No, it makes sense.
Especially if you're doing it on your own.
Oh, 100%. I think doing it on your own is very tough. And I think if they had someone like yourself guiding them every step of the way from the very beginning, amazing. And I guess, how do you help clients make smarter long-term decisions about their property, like not just the short-term wins?
Yep. So we sit down usually and we get that plan in place.
Yep.
Yeah.
So when you go through the plan, what does that kind of look like? If I was pretending I'm like a client now and I'm like, so Katie, I want to invest in, Bendigo. I've got about 600 to play with, where do we start?
It's literally like what you do with your client.
Exactly the same.
Yep, exactly the same. So we make sure that their finance is in place, make sure that that's pre-approved. We make sure that they know what terms they want to have, because sometimes it might not be that they're purchasing with me.
Yeah, that's true.
So do you know what terms to put in? Do you know what to check for? Are you going to get someone to give you a walkthrough video? Do you want me to look at that walkthrough video? Is it a continuous walkthrough video?
Yeah.
Is it one that's start and stop? Have you asked if you can see the rental ledger? Does it have a condition report? Has it got a renter in place? There's a lot of things to think about, because not only purchasing one with a renter in place, but have you checked on that renter?
That's all. That's so thorough. I think
you have to be.
100%.
Yeah.
Like when I'm doing the purchase side of things, very similar, like you said, but the way you've described that, your knowledge on rentals specifically is different, right? Because even with buyer's agents, we all have a niche. Like I'm much more on that first home buyer, owner occupier.
Yep.
When I get someone who wants to invest and do heavy investment, I will usually refer them to another BA that does it better. And I know for me, one of those people is Simon Murphy, Jamie Dow. Like I've got a whole network of different experts that do this. And you're now part of that because you've got this rental mindset that I feel like is missing for a lot of other professionals.
Yeah. So I do get a lot of BAs coming to me and saying, hey, here is this walkthrough. What do you think it would need? Can you please go and attend the open for me on the weekend? And I say, have you asked what the rent currently is? Does it have a condition report? When was the last routine inspection? Were there any maintenance items? There's so much that a sales agent isn't going to tell you. A BDM's not going to tell you because they're
not going to think about it.
Well, they've never managed a property in their life.
Correct. And that's why it's like you're such a weapon in that space because you know what to ask and how to look for it, and it's this extra level of due diligence that you wouldn't typically get with a salesperson.
That's right. Yeah.
No, it's spot on. And, I think, we're coming to the end of this episode. I could talk to you for hours, Katie, honestly. Love it. Going to have you back. If someone's listening and thinking, I'd love someone like Katie to help me buy and manage my investment, what's the first step? How should they contact you?
Literally just pick up the phone.
Pick
up the phone, give me a call, love a chat. Love a chat. Talk about property management for days. Or just send me a DM and I can call you.
Amazing.
It's that easy. Yeah.
And I think last question I want to close out with is, what's one myth about being a landlord or property investor that you wish more people knew the truth about?
I love this one. Investors and landlords are not rich.
Yeah.
Just because they own a property does not mean they are rich. So when you rent a property or someone who owns a property, doesn't mean they're rich. You don't know how they purchased that property. You don't know how hard they work to get that. I own an investment now. I'm not rich. I wish I was rich. But I purchased that with my super fund.
Gotcha.
So that's my retirement for myself and my wife and my kids. Yep. So that's one myth.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think that is a really good answer. I didn't expect that.
Good one, isn't it?
Oh, no, it's a great one because bestest ever, because everyone does assume that. It's it's always you're rich. If you own an investment, you must be loaded. You own a holiday house, you must be loaded.
So I'm just going to go in and ask for 14 split systems in every bedroom now.
Yeah.
Brand new car because you are rich. You are my landlord.
Yeah, that's right. But imagine you treated them that way. It wouldn't probably go down well. They'd be like, what the hell are you talking about?
Literally, yeah.
No, well, Katie, thank you so much for joining us today. I think your honesty, your insight and straight talking approach is exactly what we love on this podcast. That's why we named it the No BS Real Estate Podcast.
Thank you.
No, of course. And it's clear that you're not just here to manage properties, but you're here to advocate, protect and guide investors through, what can be a really overwhelming space. So from off-market strategies to being across every inch of legislation, you've shown that having someone experienced and grounded makes a huge difference in the landlord journey. So thank you so much for being here once again.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. That's a wrap on today's episode. If you're a landlord or an investor and, you took something valuable away from this chat, be sure to share it with someone who needs to hear it and reach out to Katie directly. I'm Jo Agresta and you've been listening to the No BS Real Estate Podcast. Catch you next time. That's a wrap for this episode of the No BS Real Estate Podcast, powered by Bubbly AI. If you found this conversation helpful, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who might need it. If you're looking for more guidance on your home buying journey, you can visit www.abodi.com.au for expert advice, property insights, and the tools you need to find the right home with confidence. If you're already on your journey, you can also download our app. Just search Bubbly AI on the App Store or Google Play. Have any questions or want to connect, you can follow us on Instagram at abodi.com.au or send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in and we'll catch you in the next episode.